And a very happy Monday to you at 12:06 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wings in Culver City.
John, we are just a few days away from the coveted Drop of the Year show, where we will go through all the drops we've collected in 2025. And on Thursday, we will crown the winner. And right now, the late favorite is...
Trailblazing is rarely comfortable, yo.
I don't think we've ever had a winner come this late in the year.
Stranger things have happened, but yes, Ricardo Lara might be taking this thing and running with it.
And there are still 3 more days to produce more entries. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Want to begin the show by acknowledging the cascade of bad news that happened over the weekend, whether it is the shooting in Australia, the shooting in New England, the stabbing death of Rob Reiner and his wife. There was a lot of bad news that happened over this weekend. We are aware of it. We know that the news channels are pretty much going wall to wall with all of it. Some of these stories still have details that are emerging. And if you are interested in those subjects, you're not going to get a lot of that from us here today. I don't want to go on and say something that's not true. I don't want to go on and say something that happened that didn't happen. And that's generally speaking what goes on with these developing news stories. We rather get it right than get it first. So we're just going to go ahead and let those sit a little bit before we find an angle to do the story with you. So I just want you to know we are aware of it, but we're going to do the normal show today. And if you want information on those stories, you're not going to get it here today. So let's start with that. All right. Speaking of the Los Angeles Police Department, which is leading the investigation in the Rob Reiner death, we are now learning more information about the staffing level of the LAPD and the lack thereof.
The LAPD chief, Jim McDonnell, and even Karen Bass sounded the alarm on Friday with a very late request at the LA City Council's final meeting of the year to budget $4 million for emergency staffing because there is no money left for any more academies. And, well, as Karen Bass likes to say, the world is about to be here and we need more cops.
Can you imagine what kind of disaster we will have on our hands if, God forbid, something goes wrong at the Olympics and we don't have the staffing to deal with it?
For more on the fight over LAPD staffing that took place on Friday, here is Fox 11 in Los Angeles.
Developing tonight, a new class of LAPD officers is ready to hit the streets. But could this be one of the last graduations for a while? The mayor says a funding crisis could bring hiring to a halt, and the ripple effect could be drastic.
Wait a second. Funding crisis? This is her budget.
You know what's funny? Remember the show Reno 911 that used to air on Comedy Central?
Oh, yeah.
There was an episode where there were budget cuts that were coming to the police department. And one of the things that they did to keep going as a department was they started accepting corporate sponsorships. And the corporation that sponsored the police department was some made-up version of Hooters. And they put all the cops in pink hot pants, and they changed the tops of all the women, and they painted the cop cars pink, and they catered the police department with the hot wings. I wonder if we're really one step away from that in Los Angeles.
I don't see what's so crazy about it. We spend time selling ads on buses and bus benches. There's tons and tons and tons of police cruisers driving around. That's hot ad space, baby.
Well, think about it. When the schools are broke, what do they do now? They rent out the gym to people on OnlyFans producing pornographic material.
Let's not bring that story up anymore. I can't deal with our email box being full of pictures of feet.
That did happen.
We appreciate it, but we also don't.
And the ripple effect could be drastic. Fox 11's Gina Silva is live in downtown LA with more. Gina?
Laura, the LAPD got some new funding, but it's nowhere near what the department was asking for.
And it's really just a reckless political theater. And it's awful because what's being gamed here is this idea that we're trying to prohibit hiring. And that's the furthest from the truth.
The LA City Council spent much of its meeting debating whether to approve a $4.4 million request to hire more LAPD officers. Some council members expressed frustration at being rushed into a major funding decision.
Do we follow a budget process that's grounded in honesty and fiscal solvency?
Well, first, we don't do that.
No, we don't do that with any line in the budget. But let's just start with the fact that LA is already one of the most under-policed cities in the entire nation.
Well, and you have a good portion of the city council that wants to keep it that way.
Well, they want to defund the cops, and they want to make sure that the safety ambassadors fill that void.
Or do we set aside our process to meet an entirely manufactured deadline?
For me, the health and safety of our constituents is number one. This will help us start growing back to the number where I believe that this city needs to be.
Oh, John Lee, they're not going to listen to you.
Oh, no. He's on the losing end of just about every vote.
In the end, the council approved only $1 million increase, allowing a new class of LAPD recruits to start training in January.
And then when they need one in the spring, they'll see if they can get any more money.
And there won't be any money.
LAPD has been spread way too thin. From the fires on January 7th to the civil unrest to today, we've watched them struggle to balance everyday needs with those concurrent commitments to staff multiple ongoing events and emergencies.
That on top of the daily high-speed chases.
She's another one, like John Lee, that's on a losing end of just about every vote. It's her, it's John Lee, and there's a third one. Is it Monica?
Monica sometimes.
Okay. So we have 2.5 decent members of that council, and that's it.
Yes.
We have major world events coming.
Oh, she doesn't drop the D's.
No.
Thanks, Tracy.
We have major world events coming. Residents and businesses all over the city are begging for more police resources. Our 911 and emergency response times are already abysmally low.
And we want the world to come here?
How can we show that face to the world?
So there was a lot of going back and forth on this subject. In the end, it was the $1 million that was approved, and that's for 240 police recruits to go through the training through the academy in January. Now,
And by the way, part of the reason that we're here and the staffing levels are so low is even if we have set aside money to put people through the academy, the hiring process in the city of Los Angeles is so onerous and there is so much bureaucracy that sometimes it's easier after you graduate the academy to get plucked from a smaller city that'll just say, okay, we'll hire you.
And who would you rather work for? The city of Los Angeles, where you know if it hits the fan, they don't have your back? Or do you want to go work for, I don't know, some tiny city where life is going to be a whole lot easier?
Burbank PD, I don't think they're having a staffing shortage.
Nope. How about El Segundo?
through the academy in January. Now, the biggest concern for many of the council members was getting money from the reserve, which is designated only for emergencies. They also talked about this sense of emergency, and they felt like it wasn't, it was just fabricated. They said it's...
You mean like every emergency declaration this city does?
All we have are emergency declarations.
It was just fabricated. They said it didn't need to be on a Friday, the last meeting before the holidays. Laura?
Well, also, you have to look at the timing of this. Because what also happened this weekend, right after this whole debacle, was Karen Bass launched her reelection campaign. And she can't go into launching her campaign with stories coming out about the LAPD at its lowest staffing levels in 30 years.
No, and you look at these big departments in the state of California, they're all experiencing the same problems. It's not just an LA thing. Look at what's going on in Oakland, where they put these people through the academy, and the same thing that's going on in LA is going on up there, where they leave for greener pastures. And can you blame them? Because there isn't the political will to stand by your officers when they do the job that they were hired to do. You put them in an untenable situation. Imagine if you've been there for 20 or 25 years and you're trying to figure out how much longer you're going to go before retirement. If you're the quarterback, don't you run out of bounds as opposed to taking the hit? And I think that's what a lot of them are doing. Just because you have a class that's going through doesn't mean these are new bodies. I would imagine there's an attrition rate that's through the roof.
It's pretty bad.
Laura?
Well, Gina, of course.
Not as bad as probation, but it's still pretty bad.
Well, Gina, of course, everyone wants to feel safe in their neighborhoods. What are the chances that they will be able to go back next year and try to get more money, or is this it for a whole year?
Well, this is for this fiscal year. So, yes, they can absolutely come back and try to request additional funding. And that's what many of the council members were suggesting. Like, why can't we just do this at a later time, not right now? And
they got vacations to go on. They can't be budgeting academy classes.
Oh, no, they have more important things to do. I wonder if there's any conferences in Bermuda for them.
We need to figure out where the money is going to come from. They also talked about the possibility of layoffs if they actually...
How many cops can we hire if we just took a pay cut from every one of those 15 members of the city council and Karen Bass?
Good question.
Because seriously, $220,000 for that governmental body is embarrassing. That's the starting rate.
We need to figure out where the money is going to come from. They also talked about the possibility of layoffs if they actually provided the 4.4, because in the end, it's not just the $4.4 million. It's going to be many more millions.
Well, of course, we've been hearing about this ongoing crisis for a long time now. But thank you for bringing us up to date, Gina.
So there you go, the latest on the LAPD staffing crisis. The mayor and the chief said we need $4 million so we have academies all through next year because, well, you invited the whirl. And the city council said, do you really have to bother us with this right now? Here's $1 million. Shut up.
Well, and a lot of these issues that we talk about on this program are interconnected. So let's go ahead and look at this in the context of the insurance crisis. Part of the reason that you can't buy insurance is because we don't have adequate firefighting ability, and we don't have adequate policing. And if the insurance companies know if something's going on, the fire department won't be there to promptly put the fire out, and the cops won't be there to promptly stop the bad guys from destroying property or robbing you, whatever the case may be, then they're going to jack those rates up because they know the risk is that much higher.
Trailblazing is rarely comfortable, yo.
Thank you, Ricardo.
He might win another award this week.
Now, speaking of fires, Gavin Newsom just weighed in on the fires that destroyed Pacific Palisades.
Gavin Newsom did something I almost never see him do. He sat down for a one-on-one interview with a local California news reporter, Josh Haskell of ABC7 in Los Angeles. And Gavin was trying to, ask about, trying to get the word out about the federal funding that he wants for the fire victims. But Josh Haskell ended up asking some very specific questions that Gavin was not ready for, including what role the state had in hindering the LAFD of putting out the Lockman fire that turned into the Palisades fire.
On the Palisades fire, there's allegations that a California state park official restricted the mop-up effort by the LAFD.
The one that allegedly had that big map and was pointing like, hey, this is my land.
Oh, yeah, Ranger Rick.
By the LAFD of that January 1st fire, which led to the January 7th fire. People are saying they chose plants over people. What is your reaction?
It does sound like California.
Over people. What is your reaction?
Well, I'm all for all independent investigations. We've launched multiple, as you know, in this fire recovery as it relates to the specific issues.
How long are these investigations taking? Because, it's almost been a year.
Well, I'm sure they're going to take long enough to outlast him.
As it relates to the specific issues of responsibility, and let's follow where that goes. The DOJ made the point that it was someone from Florida, out of state, in California, an arsonist, and they've identified...
No. It was an Uber driver who went on an anti-Trump tirade and then went on a whole spiel about women not giving him the time of day, who dropped off a passenger and then lit the fire and fled to Florida after he lit the fire here. He was a working Uber driver in Los Angeles.
You know, I wonder how this whole male despair crisis that's going on that leads to this kind of nonsense will be over once the sex robots take over. Just saying.
Follow where that goes. The DOJ made the point that it was someone from Florida, out of state, in California, an arsonist, and they've identified that individual. Now, as it relates to the details of this, the LA Fire Department is lead. They're the ones responsible for that fire suppression and those works. And
oh, he's throwing the LAFD under the bus.
And by proxy, that's Karen Bass.
Yep, this is where the fight's going to be, because LAFD and Karen Bass are going to say it's the state that screwed up, and the state is going to say, no, it's the locals that screwed up, when the truth is we're pretty sure everybody screwed up.
Yep.
And they'd be the right ones to ask as it relates to any independent analysis of where those facts lead.
That's the only time I've ever heard Gavin asked about anything about that. So good on Josh Haskell for posing that question. But it wasn't the only question that Gavin dodged.
Oh, yeah?
It was also a question about Dana.
Your former chief of staff, Dana Williamson, faces this investigation, charges of federal corruption. Do you think there's a case there, or this is just Trump's DOJ trying to go after
I am not getting in the middle of that. Independent.
He knows she's guilty.
He would prefer that this issue just fall off the face of the earth.
Independent, fair, let the facts lead where they are, but that is not for me to opine.
Is that something that you're concerned about, that this is a DOJ that we've seen go after Trump's political enemies?
Look, the weaponization of this Department of Justice is self-evident next level. You saw that with the Tish James, and again today, grand jury efforts, second one, rejected this. You've seen with others, Comey, et cetera. So that's table stakes. But as it relates to any independent investigation, the last thing anybody needs to do in positions like mine, if I'm going to criticize Trump for getting involved in those things, I'm going to be careful and say, let those independent facts flow and not get involved in any political assertions as it relates to those investigations.
Dana, here's the bus. You're going under it.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, if you missed an episode from last week, including one on Katie Porter, we had one on Dana Williamson, we had one on Ricardo Lara, you can go back and find out what you missed out on.
Just search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's the Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. We also had an update on Pamela Price.
F around and find out.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, what do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
Well, let's do that right now. 790 KABC welcomes Missing Persons in Stacy Q at the Canyon in Agora Hills on December 27th. Tickets are on sale now at AXS.com, but right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by the Canyon, where music meets the soul. Good luck dialing.
Let's go to Larry in Tujunga. Larry, hello.
The DWP has over 1 million customers. Zaragoza more than doubled the trash fee from $33 to $79, which is $80 million 6 times a year. What happened?
Well, there's only one way those fees go, and that's up. And then as soon as they get that, they decide they're going to spend more money, and then they have to raise them again. And that's the story of life, not just in Los Angeles, but all over the state of California.
We also raised it $8 again this month. Plus, there was a surcharge of $15 to read the meter. That's another $15 million.
Yep. Thank you for the call, sir. All right. There is now an effort to repeal Proposition 19. Proposition 19 is something that was billed as something that would benefit California taxpayers. But in reality, Randy, the opposite is true.
What we're seeing is if you pass on your home to your children, they are getting assessed at today's rates for their property taxes, not what they had with Prop 13. And that is why a whole bunch of people, especially small business owners and farmers, are starting to collect signatures and do everything they can to reverse this, because it is making it so you cannot generationally keep your homes in your family because they'll be too expensive for your no-good kids that will never be able to afford them.
And what's wild to me is that people bought into this because they didn't make it look like it was a money grab, which is typically what they're up to. They tried to make it seem like this would be consumer friendly, that everyone would benefit from this. And like many propositions in California, the title, the summary, and the packaging was deceitful.
For more on this, we go to Fox 26 in the Central Valley.
A growing number of longtime California homeowners say Proposition 19, that was a measure approved by voters back in 2020, is now pushing them toward hard decisions, having to sell homes that have been in their family for generations. Tonight, we hear from a farmer and an activist trying to amend the proposition to protect cherished family homes.
This prop was passed in 2020, and since then, many have had to sell homes that have been passed down because they couldn't keep up with the dramatic increase in property taxes. Now, changes to the prop to protect homeowners may land in the hands of voters.
This was a de facto kneecapping of Prop 13, and it went under everybody's noses.
And you can't directly attack Prop 13 and survive, even in California, even in 2025, which is why they had to be so misleading about it.
Proposition 19 was pitched in a way to help seniors pass down their property without being hit by steep property taxes. That may be true if your home or land is under $1 million.
Which, for the majority of this state, everything is worth at least $1 million now.
Oh, yeah. During COVID, when we saw the huge spike in property values in the state of California, if you had a house that was well under $1 million, odds are it's no longer there.
Unrealistic for many home and property owners in the Golden State, such as local farmers like Chris Matisse, who is worried about the future of his land.
You have such an onerous tax environment in California. It's very difficult for a farmer to give it to their children because most farms are worth over $1 million now. $1 million is not what it used to be, and it's frustrating.
Under the prop, children who inherit...
Yeah, sure, it's written in a way that it makes it seem like, okay, well, we want to make sure mansions are taxed at a market rate. But no, this is going after everybody because, like he said, $1 million is not $1 million anymore.
No, $1 million is a tract home in Van Nuys.
You don't have to hit that close to the target.
Sorry, Randy.
And it's frustrating.
Under the prop, children who inherit a home must live in it full time to keep any portion of their parents' low property tax. However, if the home is worth more than $1,044,586, that amount is subject to a 1% tax. To give you an idea, if the home is now worth $2 million, the annual taxes would go up about $10,000.
And what's the state going to do with that money?
The state of California is going to waste every single cent of it.
Matisse purchased the 20,000-acre farm in West Fresno County over 15 years ago. He's planning for the property to stay in the family.
I've told my son that if he sells it, I'll grab his neck.
Did it sound like he was going to say a different word before neck?
Yeah, it did, and I was just going to ignore it, but I'm glad you caught it, and you were the one to highlight it, not me.
Grab his neck.
It's important.
Maybe he'd grab them both.
Well, he has two hands.
It's important. It's important in the family for sure. San Francisco activist Gina C. Louie is trying to protect people like Matisse, who are at risk of losing long-held homes or property because of Prop 19. She says the wording of the prop is misleading.
Some of those ads were deceptive, and those were ads put out by the California Association of Realtors.
Yeah, wasn't this whole campaign about like, oh, if your home burned down in one of the fires, like the fire in Paradise, well, you can transfer your Prop 13 to a different home. And then there's this whole thing that no one was paying attention to that turns out when you transfer your property to your descendants, they're screwed.
This is California realtors wanting churn because every time there's a sale of a house, there is a commission to be made. And this was a meeting of the minds between the realtors who want commissions and the public employees who want more tax dollars. So you put those two powerful entities together, and you have a proposition that's going to be fully funded, and they're going to be able to sell it to voters however they need to get what they want.
Some of those ads were deceptive, and those were ads put out by the California Association of Realtors. They mentioned that if you were to live in the home after your parents passed and they were living in the home, you would not see any property tax reassessment.
And that wasn't true.
Exactly.
We need to save future generations. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't realize that this fight is for them.
Now she's working to roll back parts of Prop 19 that reassesses inherited homes to current market value by bringing it back to voters.
Prop 19, to save our children's future, is a constitutional amendment. It needs 875,000 valid signatures.
Oh boy, that's a steep hill to climb.
It's tough to do. And then you will have the California Realtors Association, and you will have all the public employee unions lining up against you.
And let's not forget who we need to sign that signature, who we need to sign those petitions. The average California voter.
No, I don't know enough to give you any good information, but good luck finding someone who does.
And therein lies the problem.
All right, where is this piece here?
The first campaign, we got 402,000 valid signatures. The second campaign, we got 560,000.
If you're wondering why you have to keep filling out a petition for this, is because it still doesn't go over the finish line.
No, and part of the reason is the people who are furious over this, many of them have left the state. And then you factor COVID into it, and COVID just sped up the process for many of them because they were upset at the lockdowns.
Now, that 560,000 is a number to remember. And the reason why is we filed companion legislation.
An important move, as she says places like the Bay Area are seeing median home prices at $1 million. And although we aren't seeing much of that in the Valley, that doesn't mean it won't happen.
Oh, that's what's going to happen next. What do you think the whole plan is with the high-speed rail? It's to jack up the property values in the Central Valley.
Oh, yeah.
Back in 2003, 2004, San Francisco median values were only about 400,000.
Seriously?
Boy, it makes you want to go back into time and just go on a buying spree, doesn't it?
Shoot back to 2025 now, and you're seeing values at 1.6 million.
Matisse says protecting family property, especially farmland, is crucial for California's future.
I encourage whatever family can, keep the land, give it to your kids, your grandkids, don't sell it. And the small farmer is where America's always been.
Yeah, but if the kids cannot afford the taxes on it, they're selling it. I don't care how sentimental they are.
No, because many of them don't even want to remain in the state to begin with. If they have a nice place and they have property that's been in the family a long time, you may keep people here because that's an incentive to stay. But if every incentive is to push them out of the state, guess what? You're going to lose your population, which is why we're going to lose between 3 and 5 congressional seats.
According to the Secretary of State, if this does get enough signatures to be on the ballot and it passes, it would reduce revenue for local governments and schools by around $1 billion.
Yeah, that's fine.
We have declining enrollment in the schools.
Yes, but do we have declining staffing in the schools?
No, we don't.
In studio, Daniel Romero, Fox 26 News.
So there you go. That's the latest on the latest effort to do something about Prop 19, which is making it almost impossible for certain people to be able to pass on their properties to their children.
Well, let's hope they're successful this time. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Tom in San Jose. Tom, hello.
Because I know I Hey, guys. How are you? Thanks for taking my call. I don't know if it's okay. You can let me know to jump back to the LAPD, the law enforcement thing, since I know a lot about that. Or did you guys want to continue with the Prop 19?
Well, what do you have to say?
Well, it's multifaceted what's going on with the law enforcement, because I've been there and I know. I was back during the affirmative action push, and they changed it to DEI because they, in many aspects, had proven that affirmative action doesn't work. So they just changed the name of it and turned it into an acronym. And then once that has been shown to fail as many times as it's been shown that it doesn't work, they're going to change it to something else, which they're in the process of trying to do. But my point is, you have a lot of very good law enforcement that have left, are leaving, and want to leave, and they're filling those positions with these affirmative action DEI people that don't belong in these positions. They don't know what they're doing. They're basically controlled by whoever is in control of this. I'll just keep that to myself because I do know. And they tell them what to do and how to do it, as in, don't go out there and bother the people that are burning places down. Just sit back, let it work itself out. That's not what law enforcement is. You're supposed to be proactive. That's how I was trained. And you're losing the good ones, and they're bringing in all the garbage. And the good ones that are left, they're eventually going to leave, and then they're just going to bring in more of the useless idiots. And it's almost like an unsurmountable thing. But we have to stay. We have to stay strong and have a resolve. Everybody needs to stand up, just like with the Prop 19, and say, enough is enough. They hid it in the bill. They pulled a Nancy Pelosi. You got to pass it before you can read it and understand all that stuff that we're getting stabbed in the back. That's in it, and they hid it. They hid it inside there, on like the 8th or 9th line or something. I don't know if I heard that on your show or not. So you guys, unless we stand up about all these different processes that they've been doing over the decades, Trump's doing his best to try to reverse as much as he can, but he's one man. He can only do so much. It's going to hurt for a little bit, all the things that need to be done, but it's going to take a generation or two to correct this. You have to get on the correct path. And those who are doing this and have done this to us, they knew that. They knew it was going to take a generation or two to get it in their favor, and it's kind of in their favor now. And we got to fight back. We got to fight for our country. We got to stand up. We can do it. We're the ones that have the brains. We're not celebrating this guy's death that just got murdered by his own son. We're not celebrating it. But we're bringing up the points that led to it. And the radical left are using that to say, see, they're celebrating, when it's like, turn around and look in the mirror the way you've celebrated about like Charlie Kirk and the attempts on Trump, et cetera. They're just projecting, and that's how they get away with it. They project it on us. And because we are good people, and we're like, oh, no, that's not me. I'm not doing that. And then they got us backpedaling. And it's another thing they teach in the academy. Once you start backpedaling, you've lost the fight. You got to.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. I appreciate it. Let's go to Clifton in Vallejo. Clifton, hello.
Hey, John and Randy, what's going on with you guys today, man? Top of the day to you. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all that good stuff, man. I want to get into this story that I didn't live, okay? This ain't nothing I'm telling you about that somebody told me. This is something I live, okay? I'm a veteran, okay? Me and my wife been married since 1996. I bought my house for $1,001 in 1996 in Vallejo, okay? She had a townhouse. We turned the townhouse into 2 fourplexes, okay? In 2008, when the crash came, we had to short sale all of that, okay? We short sold our house. We short sold the 2 fourplexes, and we landed on our feet. A lot of people landed on their head, but me and my wife landed on our feet, and I thank God for that. You understand what I'm saying? But the point is, my mother-in-law sold a house in Stockton to get us this house that we in right now. We were renting to buy from my mother-in-law for 12, 13 years. You understand what I'm saying? My mother-in-law just said, okay, I'm up in age, I'm 89. Okay, I'm going to just quick deed it to my wife. And that's what she did. She quick deeded it to my wife, and we go to the county in Solano County, and they're telling us that we only got 2 exemptions that we could get. It's only the homeowner's exemption, and it's the 100% veteran exemption. That's the only exemption that you could get on property taxes to transfer something over. Other than that, they're going to bring you up to the rate of what the house is worth. You understand what I'm saying? So thank God me and my wife were able to prove that my mother-in-law lived in the house with us for a year or so. We had paperwork that's saying that her name was on certain things and that type of stuff. That's the only way we were able to avoid that. You understand what I'm saying? We need to fix this, man. You know what I'm saying? I've been wanting to leave California for a long time, but I'm not leaving California. California worth fighting for, and I love California. And I'm not going to put up with this crap. You understand what I'm saying? I got property all over the place. Our family got 90 acres in Lancaster. My sister-in-law was just up there yesterday. I got 15 of those acres. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not giving up my stuff.
Well, I don't know about you, but I can make the argument as to why I should leave. I just can't make the argument of where I should go.
That's the point, right? Where am I going to go?
Because I'm not moving to Montana.
I'm not moving to Montana. I'm not moving to South Dakota. I'm not definitely not moving back to New Orleans. I guarantee you that already.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for the call, Clifton, and have a very Merry Christmas. We appreciate it.
So glad we got one last Clifton call in for the year.
We only have 3 more live shows to go after today.
But don't you worry. I put together some really, really, really good best ofs for when we're not here. So, you'll still think it's live. It's fine.